hadn't got either of those was going to be a big trouble for the years to come. Rock and roll had basically been the thing that the youth had been after for years and years and years. And as cinema, and Hollywood particularly, grew more and more overblown and more terrified by the arrival of TV, so young people's culture started to go for the smaller, low end of the film market. Records and radio was where rock and roll had made its converts. And in their thousands and ultimately their millions, young people were desperate to see their heroes. They saw them in cheap black and white movies, but in this particular instance, Fox decided to grab the bull by the horns and also try and deal with their Marilyn Monroe problem. Marilyn was so huge in the 1950s that, very much in the same way as Chaplin in the 1920s, if you wanted to somehow or other go up against Chaplin, you had to have a Chaplin of your own. In this case, Fox had a Marilyn of their own, and this was Jayne Mansfield. If anything, 1 degree more curvy than Marilyn was. And where rock and roll was concerned, Fox also decided to grab the bull by the horns and actually get some big rock and roll names and put them in front of a camera in widescreen and in full colour. This was the first time people had actually seen Little Richard, the Platters, Eddie Cochran, Julie London, Fats Domino, people who were already legends to an entire generation of young rockers. And here they were finally seeing them on screen. If I may, I will just diverge to the British situation here, because the beauty of this was that in Britain, absolutely no one had seen these people. They hadn't even seen them playing live because none of them had toured to Britain. And so when this film came out, the rock and roll community went bananas. This movie was certainly the biggest influence on Jeff Beck that we know of, for sure, Eric Clapton that we know of, and 2 young men in Liverpool who were too young to go and see this film. However, according to one of them, Paul McCartney, they put on fake moustaches to get in to see the film and went and saw it 7 times in a week. Now, if this is true, then this is the movie that inspired the Beatles. And the very fact that one of the numbers in this film, Paul McCartney learnt just by ear by watching the movie and then was able to play it to John Lennon, made John Lennon convinced that he and Paul ought to set up the Quarrymen, which was the band that existed before the Beatles did. So this movie brought rock and roll in its visual sense to Britain. Okay, that's the point at which I will stop bigging it up, because it's only so good. But the main thing about it is that it's aimed very much at a younger audience, and Fox had 2 or 3 things they could absolutely rely on. Not only have they got Jayne Mansfield, not only have they got Tom Ewell, who had just made a big name for himself opposite Marilyn in The 7-Year Itch, but they also have a very fine director in Frank Tashlin. And Tashlin had been at one time a Disney animator and knew how to keep things moving, and boy did he. This is a really nice copy of the movie. It's really nice to be able to show it on a big screen, and it's great to be showing it late on a Saturday night. I just wish the place was stuffed with rock and roll people, but there you go. The mate is 2. That's fantastic. And aside from anything else, it's stuffed with people who are going to love it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Girl Can't Help It.